First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakakadash. And I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. I want to give a hearty shalom and much respect to the brothers out there laboring and teaching this truth, right? And what you see on your screen is curses that's getting what put back on our enemies. The Most High God said that once His people return and start coming back to Him and serving Him with joyfulness of heart, joyfulness of your mind, He's going to start putting these curses back on our enemies, right? Well, let's get into a couple of articles. This is from CBS News from the 3rd of July. It says, Maryland boy infected with flesh-eating bacteria, mother says. It says, a woman says a trip to Maryland beach left her son covered in wounds from flesh-eating bacteria. And the Daily Times of Salisbury reports Brittany Carey says her sons went swimming off the coast of Ocean City last week and had red spots all over his body by the next morning. Says Carey wrote about the infection on Facebook on Saturday and shared photos of the wounds. She said Peninsula Regional Health System physicians had diagnosed her sons with verbiо. We'll look this up. 1 second. And verbiо, right? Look at this story right here. It says a Florida woman dies. So that's Maryland. This is Florida. Dies after surgeries to cure her flesh-eating bacteria infection. It's from the 1st of July, right? It says a woman died 2 weeks after cutting her leg while walking along the coast of Anna Marie Island, Florida. According to her family, her leg became infected with necrotizing fasciitis, commonly called flesh-eating bacteria. A life in Florida had long been the dream of Carolyn Lynn Fleming, who was originally from Pittsburgh, but was most recently a resident of Ellington, Florida. This damn devil. Says, I don't care about her life. Says, as she walked along the water, a small dip caused Lynn Fleming to stumble. She had bumped her leg. A 3/4 inch cut, on her left shin, according to Wade Fleming. A lifeguard cleaned it up and gave her a bandage. She had no unusual symptoms, and they went out with friends that evening. She got mad when I tried to make a fuss. You know the way mothers are, Wade Fleming said. Whatever. Basically, she died from a flesh-eating bacteria, right? Let's take a look at this one. It says, again in Florida, Florida man contracts flesh-eating bacteria without even touching water. Wow. Call Lord Yahweh by Shai. Says Tyler King was at work at Santa Rosa Beach, Florida last week when he noticed his left bicep start to swelling. He tried taking Benadryl, but just a few hours later his arm had nearly tripled in size. He rushed to the emergency room. When I was a bit younger, I probably would have tried to tough it out. Well, that would have been the worst thing that I could do, King said. If I had gone to sleep and had woke up at the rate it was spreading, I might not have my right arm right now. King had contracted verbiero, we're gonna have to look that up. A bacteria commonly found in warm brackish water, a mix of salt and fresh water. When exposed to an open wound, Vibrio can cause a skin infection. If left untreated, the bacteria can be deadly, right? Let's see. Let's see what let's get a definition. Okay, Vibrio is a genus of a gram-negative bacteria possessing a curved rod, comma shape. What it is? Several species of which can cause food-borne infection. Usually associated with eating undercooked seafood, typically found in salt water. Vibrio species are facultative albares, Salaki on the pronunciation, that test positive for oxidase and do not form spores. Enough of that. Let's get to the scriptures. So the Most High God said He's going to put all these curses on our enemies once we came back to Him, right? And let's get what these curses are. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 59. Then the Most High will make thy plagues wonderful, and thy seeds, Shalaki, and thy plague of thy seed, even great plagues, and of a long continuance, and a sore sickness, and of a long continuance, right? It says, moreover, He will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, then will the Most High bring upon thee until thou be destroyed, right? Another one of those plagues is that opioid crisis going on, right? They also have plague of the mind. The Most High is having them doing what? Depths of despair too, right? So these are plagues that's not listed, that did not happen in Egypt. But guess what? The Most High is bringing it upon them. Why, you ask? Well, let's find out. Let's take a look. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30. We're going to start at the top. It says, and it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whether the Most High thy power have driven thee. So we're recalling the blessed and the curse right now. What the Most High has driven us. He's driven us to the land of captivity. He had these Negroes out here shooting fireworks yesterday, wearing a USA flag apparel, man, and your people were in captivity. In captivity. Hard bondage slavery when so-called America was free, right? It says, and thou shalt return unto the Most High thy power, and shall obey His voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, right? Then the Most High thy power will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations. Once again, we are scattered in all nations. That's why Yahweh said, go teach all nations. That's why you read in Revelations, a kindred multitude out of every nation under heaven, right? And I will return and gather thee from all nations, whether the Most High thy power have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the utmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Most High thy power gather thee, and from thence will He fix thee, and the Most High thy power will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it, and He will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy father. Yeah, that's what we're waiting on now. We're waiting on the Most High God to send His Son, Yahweh Shai, to come redeem us, to get us out of this curse, man. And the Most High thy power will circumcise thy heart, your mind, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Most High thy power with all thy heart, right? And with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And that goes into what? Jeremiah 31:31, Hebrews 8:8, the new covenant, right? It's going to be written in our inward parts. But here's the point. Verse 7. And the Most High thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemy and upon them that hate thee, which persecuted thee, right? So the Most High God is putting all these curses, the ones that's written in the book of the law and the ones that's not written in the book of the law, upon our enemies. Because why? Let's read back on verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where thou art driven, Shalakia, call them to mind among all the nations where the Most High thy power have driven thee, and shall return unto the Most High thy power. Yeah, we put these curses in remembrance, and now we're returning to the Most High power, and now that's what He's fighting for us. Lord willing, it's been edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Till the next time, I say shalom.